Harry uses terms like the triggering of even flying into London. It reminds him of that day when he had to walk behind the coffin, and they were more or less, again, bullied into doing it.
Did he give William and Harry a heads up that this was happening? Because obviously, they were deeply upset about this because, like you said, this was a promise that he was never going to make her, that she was always going to be princess consort. So did he give them a heads up?
Completely blindsided and very upsetting to both of them, I think equally. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, their mother still is very much part of their lives. And by the way, Charles, he's had some, I think people misread the degree to which he was affected by Diana's death initially. I have in the book an account from the nurses in the hospital about how when Charles walked in and saw Diana's body laying there, and the air conditioning was on and it kind of moved her hair, and he practically passed out. I mean, he was so upset and so deeply wounded by this episode, because it was the mother of his children, of course. So the behind the scenes of all that was interesting, but still not enough for him to ever give up the hope of Camilla becoming his queen. At that point, right after Diana's death, you may recall, everybody hated Camilla. She was the most hated woman in the realm. People threw things at her in the supermarket because they felt that she was basically responsible for driving Diana to that position where she could sign a traffic accident.
Right. And then I think you write in the book about how Charles has very deep regret about how he forced William and Harry to walk behind their mother's coffin. Is that something that haunts him probably still to this day?
Yes. And I think it haunts him because it haunts them, and they've spoken about it. And I've written that I believe it's a form of PTSD. Harry uses terms like the triggering of even flying into London. It reminds him of that day when he had to walk behind the coffin, and they were more or less, again, bullied into doing it by the palace, by the men in gray who really run the palace, the people that Diana used to complain about. He's also said that he felt that he was tricked into doing it and regrets it. He said it was like walking through a tunnel of grief, which I think is an issue people can understand. A million people in the streets weeping, and you're supposed to, and it's your mother. Yeah. I think both William and Harry thought, well, who are these strangers who never met her? So they were angry about what had happened, and Charles, I think, understands that to some extent he was responsible for them having to suffer through this.
For more news content and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below, and visit usmagazine.com.